The bell above the cafe door made that same hollow sound it always did. Like something that used to ring clearer but doesn't anymore. I was early, as usual. I ordered a black coffee, sat at the counter, and pretended to scroll through my phone. Mostly, I watched the steam curl from the cup, rise, disappear. That was when I saw her. Mrs. Hale, or Claire, as she once told me to call her back when my friend and I used to hang out at her place. She looked different now, softer maybe, or just quieter. Her hair had more silver in it, tied back in a loose bun, and she was wearing that same kind of wool sweater she always wore in winter. The kind that looked like it remembered stories. She noticed me before I could decide if I should say something. Ivan, I turned, too quickly. Why? It's been years. 5, she said, smiling. You always kept count of things like that. She sat a few stools away, ordered a cappuccino. Her voice still carried that calm steadiness. The kind that could smooth out a room just by being in it. I folded the napkin in front of me, corner to corner, like I used to when I didn't know what to do with my hands. You still living here? I asked Lee, she said. My mom's place. Needed fixing up after she passed. I nodded. Sorry. She waved it off gently. It's all right, you always said sorry too easily. I smiled, but it came out uneven. Wes, I still do. There was a pause, not awkward exactly, just heavy with the sound of coffee machines and quiet music. She looked down at her cup as the barista set it in front of her, then back at me. You always knew how to make me laugh, she said softly, like she was remembering something out loud before realizing she'd said it. The words landed in that small space between us, and for a second I didn't breathe. I did? I asked, trying to sound like I wasn't caught off guard. She chuckled, stirring her drink. Yeah. You and your dumb stories about failing at cooking. You burned water once. I laughed. The sound felt strange coming out. That really happened, I know, she said, smiling. You called me in a panic about the smoke detector. She had this way of looking at me. Steady but unreadable. Like she was watching for something I wasn't sure I had. I wanted to ask about her son, about her life, but I didn't. The moment felt too small to fit big questions. Instead I said, you still come here often. Sometimes. When it's quiet. She glanced around. You look like someone who's been waiting for something. I didn't answer. Maybe I didn't know. Or maybe I just didn't want to admit she was right. The cafe light flickered once, a soft, failing bulb near the window, and her face caught the shimmer of it. She looked older, yes, but also the same. The kind of same that makes your chest ache a little. She reached for her phone, typed something quickly, then hesitated before setting it back down. I should go, she said. But it was good to see you. Yeah, I said, standing halfway, then stopping you too. She smiled, small and knowing, and left, her reflection catching in the glass as the door closed behind her. When I sat back down, my phone buzzed once. Unknown number. You still make me laugh, you know. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen, the coffee gone cold beside me. Outside, it had started to rain. The kind that made you feel like staying somewhere a little longer than you should. It had been a week since the cafe. I told myself the message she sent was just a kind gesture. Something people say when they run into old faces. But I'd read it enough times to know it wasn't nothing. When she texted again. If you're free, the library needs an extra hand sorting donations. I said yes before I could think of a reason not to. The community library smelled the same as it did in high school. Paper dust and rain leaking through the old vents. She was behind the counter, glasses perched on her head, sleeves pushed up. Didn't think you'd actually show, she said, smiling. Didn't think you actually needed help, I replied. I don't, she said, but I wanted company. That silence after, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it made my throat dry. We shelved books together. I handed her paperbacks, watched her fingertips brush mine sometimes. Not on purpose, I think. Maybe. She talked about her divorce, casually, as if describing something that had happened to someone else. Hay left 2 years ago. We'd been growing apart for 10. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. Just nodded, like if I moved too much, the air might shift. Then she said, you used to come over after school and talk about how you hated group projects. You'd sit on the porch and complain for hours. I'd pretend to be grading papers. I smiled. You were bad at pretending. She looked up from the shelf, her eyes soft but sharp. You noticed that? Yeah. Something flickered across her face, maybe surprise, maybe memory. I reached for another stack of books. The one on top slipped from my hand and hit the floor. We both bent down to grab it at the same time, and our hands met, warm against cold cover stock. Neither of us moved for a second. Then she let go first, standing tucking hair behind her ear. You should be careful, she said quietly. Old books bite. It was such a small thing to say, but I knew she meant something else. When we took a break, she poured tea into 2 mismatched cups, the kind of tea that smells like wet grass and patience. We sat on opposite ends of the table, steam rising between us like something that needed space. Do you ever think about those years? I asked. She tilted her head. Sometimes. Mostly I think about what I didn't say. I waited. But she didn't go on. The clock on the wall clicked too loudly. She looked at me then, really looked. The kind of look that doesn't ask for anything, but still feels like it's asking everything. When I left, she followed me to the door, holding my forgotten thermos. Still yours, she said, handing it over. I reached out and her fingers brushed mine again. A half-second of contact, too brief to mean something, and yet it did. As I walked into the drizzle, I thought, I don't know why that moment stayed with me. Maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. The next week, I stopped by the library again. I told myself it was about returning a book, but even I didn't buy that. Claire was there, leaning over a stack of new arrivals, glasses slipping down her nose. When she saw me, she smiled, then looked away too fast, like she hadn't meant to. You're early, she said. You texted need help with inventory, I said. I didn't say today. Guess I just assumed. Her eyes softened, then turned back to the stack. You assume too much, Evan. The air between us thickened, not with words, but with everything neither of us had the nerve to name. I picked up a box cutter and started slicing open cartons. Paper dust filled the air, catching in the slant of afternoon light. She came closer to hand me labels, her sleeve brushing mine. It was nothing, but I felt it everywhere. You've changed, she said quietly. How so? You're quieter. Used to talk too much. Maybe I ran out of things worth saying. She looked at me for a second, long enough to make me feel seen, but not long enough to explain what that meant. Then the door opened. Her son, my old friend, Nate, stepped in. Mom, he said, surprise flickering. Didn't know you were working late. Claire straightened, a little too quickly. Oh, Nate. Just finishing up. Evan was helping. He looked at me, then her, his gaze lingering an extra beat. Didn't realize you two still talked. We don't, she said. He's just volunteering. Something about the way she said just made something in me tighten. Nate nodded slowly, then shrugged. Cool, I'll wait in the car. He left, the door chiming too long behind him. Silence. She didn't look at me right away. Her hands trembled slightly as she stacked books. You should go too, she said. He might misunderstand. Misunderstand what? She opened her mouth, closed it. You know, I didn't. Or maybe I did, and that was the problem. I stepped closer, until the air felt thin. If it bothers you. It doesn't. She cut in, then sighed. It shouldn't. She rubbed her thumb over the edge of a book spine, over and over, like trying to smooth something that wouldn't flatten. I don't want to make things complicated, I said. You already have, she whispered. It wasn't angry, more like she was warning herself. I watched her for a long moment. The low hum of the heater, the smell of tea she hadn't finished. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something else. I could have closed the space between us. I almost did, but she stepped back first. Just one step, small but enough to break whatever was building. Her eyes flicked to the floor, then up again. You should lock up when you leave. And she walked out, her coat brushing the doorframe, her sin lingering like unfinished words. I stood there, the lights buzzing overhead, her half-full cup still warm on the table. For a moment, I thought she might come back. She didn't. It was closing time again, rain soft against the library windows, lights dimmed to a thin amber glow. I was stacking chairs when Claire said, quietly, You don't have to stay so late every time. I don't mind, I said. Gives me something to do. She smiled, faintly. That's not the same as wanting to. I didn't answer, maybe because she was right. We locked up and walked outside together. The street was slick with light, puddles catching reflections from passing cars. She held her umbrella out just enough for both of us, though the wind kept tilting it sideways. You could have gone with Nate tonight, she said. He told me you two don't hang out anymore. People drift, I said. Besides, he's busy. And you're not, I laughed softly. Not in the same way. We walked a little more. The sound of her heels against wet pavement matched the rhythm of my heart in a way that felt unfair. At the corner, she stopped under a streetlight. Rain flickered through the glow like static. I keep thinking I should tell you to stop coming around, she said. I turned. Why? Because it's starting to feel like something it shouldn't. Her words hung there, calm, but cunning. I stared at the pavement. Is that what you want? She hesitated, just long enough to make it hurt. I don't know what I want. A car passed, sending water splashing against the curb. Her umbrella slipped, and I caught it before it fell. Our hands met on the handle, both of us holding it, neither letting go. Claire, I said quietly. She looked up at me, really looked, eyes glassy, unreadable. Don't. I wasn't going to. You were, she said, voice barely above the rain. You were going to say something we can't take back. I exhaled, a shaky half laugh. Maybe I already have. Her hand trembled slightly against mine. You think this is easy for me. I think you're pretending it is. That made her go still. She let go of the umbrella and stepped back, crossing her arms like she needed something to hold herself together. Do you know what it's like? She said quietly. To realize someone sees you again after years of feeling invisible. It's terrifying. The words hit harder than I expected. I wanted to tell her she wasn't invisible, that she never had been. But all I said was, you don't have to be scared. I'm not scared of you, Evan, she said. I'm scared of what I'll do if I stop pretending this isn't real. We stood there, the rain softening around us, umbrella forgotten, both of us soaked and silent. I stepped closer, just enough for her breath to touch mine. She didn't move away this time. Her eyes flicked to my lips, then back up, and then, she whispered, "Don't make me ask you to stay." I didn't know if she meant it as a warning or a plea. Either way, I didn't move. For 3 days I didn't hear from her. The library lights stayed off when I passed by. No need help, texts, no new donation boxes stacked at the door, just quiet, the kind that fills space like fog, not heavy, but impossible to ignore. I told myself she was busy, that something came up. I almost believed it. By the 4th day I stopped checking my phone every few minutes. I tried to. Then Nate called. Out of nowhere. Hey, he said. You still in town? Yeah. Good. Mom's been weird lately. Thought you might have noticed. The word weird stuck. He hesitated before adding, she's seeing someone again. Or trying to, I think. Something inside me went still. Oh, I said, keeping my voice steady. That's good. She deserves that? Yeah, he said. Anyway, she said she's not volunteering this month, taking a break. A break, from what exactly? After the call, I sat in my car outside the library. The rain had stopped, but the windows were fogged like the air didn't want to let go. I could see her shadow through the frosted glass. Faint, moving slowly between shelves, she was there after all. But I didn't go in. The next day she texted, sorry for disappearing, needed to breathe. I typed back, you okay? Then deleted it. Started again, I get it, take your time, deleted that too. In the end, 2 days later, I went back to the cafe, same seat, same cup, different air. She walked in halfway through my coffee, paused when she saw me, then approached with that soft, careful smile that said she wasn't sure which version of herself to be. She said, "Hey, you're quiet today, so are you." We sat like that for a bit, the kind of silence that carries weight. She fiddled with her ring, silver, simple, still on her left hand. I didn't ask about it. Maybe she never took it off, maybe she couldn't. Finally, she said, I shouldn't have left things like that. You didn't owe me anything. I didn't say I did. Her eyes met mine, sharp for a second, then soft again. I needed to remember what was real, and what I was imagining. I nodded slowly. And what did you figure out? That I don't know how to be seen without wanting to hide. There it was. The thing she hadn't said before. The truth that explained everything and nothing at once. I wanted to reach for her hand, but she was already pulling her coat tighter, already half turned toward the door. "I'll see you around," she said. The chair creaked when she stood. I almost said her name, almost stopped her, but didn't. When she left, her cup was still full, untouched. I watched the door close, waited for the sound of her car engine. It never came. Maybe she didn't want me to see her go. I sat there a long time, staring at her reflection fading from the window. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused, like life forgot to finish the sentence. It was a month before I saw her again. Late afternoon, outside the library, the sky pale, wind carrying the dry smell of leaves. I'd stopped coming by, stopped looking for reasons to. But that day, I found myself walking the old road anyway. Habit, I guess. She was sitting on the bench near the entrance, a thermos in her hands, the same one she'd once returned to me. When she saw me, she didn't seem surprised, just tired, in a gentle way. "You still remember this place," she said. "Hard to forget." I sat beside her. The distance between us felt strange, not uncomfortable, but uncertain, like standing on old ground that had shifted just slightly. She unscrewed the thermos, poured tea into 2 small paper cups, handed me one. The smell was familiar, chamomile and rain. "I kept meaning to text," she said. "I kept meaning not to." That made her smile. "That sounds about right." The silence stretched, easy this time. The world around us moved in slow background. A car door closing, a bird landing nearby. It felt like everything had finally quieted down enough to let truth exist between us. She took a small breath. "I wasn't seeing anyone," what Nate said. That wasn't true. I just needed to convince myself there was still a line between us. I nodded. Was there? There had to be. Her voice was steady, but her fingers tightened around the cup. I looked down at the ground, at the way the light caught the tips of her shoes. "I thought you didn't want to see me again." "I didn't," she said. "But I did. Every day. That one cracked something in me, quiet but deep. You know this can't really go anywhere," she went on, eyes fixed on the street. "Too much history. Sense." I finished.
Yeah.
"Maybe that's not such a bad thing." She looked at me then, fully. Her eyes were softer than I remembered, but they carried something heavier, a kind of knowing. "I think we met at the wrong time," she said. "Or maybe the right time," I said. "Just not for what we thought." A small laugh left her, low, breathy, almost a sigh. We sat in that truth for a long while. I wanted to tell her I'd miss her, but that sounded too much like a goodbye neither of us was ready to give. So instead, I said, "You still laugh the same." She looked down, smiling, a tear she didn't bother to hide catching in the corner of her eye. "You always knew how to make me laugh," she said. The same words she'd said that first day, but this time it sounded like a thank you. I reached over, gently brushed my thumb against her knuckles, not holding, just resting. She didn't pull away. We didn't promise anything. Didn't say we'd see each other again. Just sat there. 2 people who'd once crossed a line, now learning how to stand on either side of it. Quietly, carefully, almost peacefully. When she finally stood, she whispered, "Okay." And somehow that was enough. It's been 6 months. The library still smells the same, paper dust and tea, a few new lamps, a few more volunteers, but most things remain as they were. I come by once a week now, not out of habit but something steadier. She's there most mornings, unlocking the doors at 8:47 a.m. Not 9, not 8:30, always 8:47. She says she likes that it feels like she's getting away with something small. We don't talk about what happened. We don't have to. It's written in the rhythm of how we move around each other. Small, familiar gestures. She leaves my black coffee on the corner of the counter, already poured. I fix the crooked sign near the window before we open. Sometimes she hums under her breath when she thinks I'm not listening. We never crossed the line, we almost did that night, but somehow what came after feels deeper. Like choosing not to speak, the feeling made it last longer. Once, I asked her if she ever thought about leaving town. She said, "Maybe, but I'm not running anymore." Then she smiled, that quiet kind of smile that doesn't need a reason. "Every so often, Nate drops by. He still doesn't ask why I'm here so often. Maybe he knows. Maybe he doesn't need to. Last week, the rain returned, steady and soft, the kind that turns the streetlights into halos. She brought 2 cups of tea to the bench outside, and we sat there under the awning, the thermos between us. You still drink it black? She asked. Always, I said. Some things don't change. She laughed, the same laugh that once made me feel seen. Now it just made me feel here. We didn't talk about the past or what we almost were. Just about the books people donate, the ones she secretly keeps. How she marks time by the weather, not the calendar. When the rain slowed, she leaned back against the bench and closed her eyes. I watched her for a while, thinking about that first day in the cafe, about the text that started all of this. She opened one eye, half smiling. What? Nothing, I said. Just, it's nice, you know. She nodded, eyes still closed, and maybe that was love. Not the kind that burns, but the kind that lingers, quietly, like steam off a cup of tea you forgot to finish. The clock inside struck 900, she stood, brushing off her coat, and held out her hand for mine, a simple, steady gesture. Come on, she said. Doors don't unlock themselves. I took her hand, warm and certain. The rain had stopped, but the world still glistened like it hadn't decided what came next. As we stepped inside, I thought maybe this is it. Not the ending, not the beginning, just the middle that stayed, and for once that felt enough.